And we are live with Brian B. Roth, 6, aka Card Soup, and everywhere else in between.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, and thank you to everybody that's taken a few minutes from the AFC Championship to put one eye on us tonight or watching us later when this is archived. Welcome to the show.
Scott, thanks for having me. I love your hat.
Oh, I love yours too. We were talking before, we thought it'd be funny, and both Mets fans.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a Mets fan by way of Gary Carter. I believe it or not, I was an Expos fan before I was a Mets fan. So
Okay, I understand that.
Yeah, and the weird thing was just a little. So, my household, we ate, drank, slept baseball, and to learn that there was a team in a completely another country that was playing in our league. You know, I didn't understand it was just like really crossing the street. But, it was like, wow, and you could hear their telecast sometimes in This Week in Baseball being French or whatever. And I just thought it was so cool. And then he made an appearance on Johnny Bench, Baseball Bunch. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No.
Great show. They need to bring it back. It was a great connecting for kids. So Johnny Bench in his later years and right after he retired, Tommy Lasorda was dressed up like a genie. They called him, for some reason, they called him the Oz or something. And then when they had Ozzie Smith on, it was a little weird. Oh, no, they called him the Wizard. That's what it was.
Okay.
The San Diego Chicken was on, and they had a little baseball team of boys and girls, and that was the Baseball Bunch. And every week they have a player on, and fell in love with Gary Carter. I don't know how I got on that, but we got Lou Rock in the house. I think it's safe to say he's an incumbent in the Hall of Fame with you guys there, B-Raw.
Yeah. I've been paying a little bit of attention to the balloting, but it looks like there are a few names that are on a lot of ballots. So I'm happy to see that the class will be strong, which it should be. It's great.
And and when you do have a lot of names, you kind of can guess because there is also a lot of different names on the ballots, which makes it even stronger for the ones that are on there quite a few times to get in. Because this year it seems a little bit, it's just so many channels, man. And
Right.
Everybody has their channels that they really like. This is one, and shame on me, Battery Carlisle Rude. I knew you were coming on. I watched him today. He collects Braves, but he did like 1960s Leaf, like black and white. I'd never seen those before, and he's collecting the Brave ones, and they were really nice. And then he had a stamps, some other one. It was really cool, and I'm always jealous of these guys like you with the Tigers and other stuff, and you do Hank Greenberg. It's just you can go way back, and with me and the Mets, I get to go back like not very far.
But there are still some great Mets cards out there.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And, notwithstanding the Nolan Ryan and Tom Seaver rookie cards, there's like even the 71 Ryan, I love that card.
Yes.
And even the Tug McGraw rookie he's on the Mets in that.
Yep.
On that card too. There are some great ones.
Well, for me also, because I was a history major in college. I was talking a little bit about college. So I love like the Tug McGraw thing. What's that, 4 generations of McGraws in professional baseball?
Is that right? I don't know that. I don't know the story.
Yeah. So like the first one, I think was his great grandfather or grandfather. And then his dad, and then him, I think.
Wow. I'll have to look at that.
I have to, too. I might be getting a player confused, and when I do that, I just say the 90s was a hell of a decade and keep going. We got Dr. Exclusive on here. He's a great hockey guy. up in Canada. Thanks, James, for the kind words there, brother. James is our super watcher for everybody on here. Jeff, how you doing? Oh, we got Bobbles. We got everybody in here tonight.
Yeah, you got a good crew.
Scott is putting Tim McGraw in the role. Yeah, Tim McGraw too. Tim McGraw is Tug's son, right?
He is, yes. I do know
I'm
that.
talking I'm talking about the right family, then. I think.
But he's in the Rock and Roll or the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
right?
I know that. Like Tim.
Yeah.
Tim broke the string.
yeah. He did break the string. Maybe he's not athletically inclined.
Well, he can sing.
He can sing. Yeah, he can do something.
Those guys in the art field, and I don't, the people that can do other things. Like I was talking about Scott Reindeer Studios, I just find what they do just so genius in a way that I'm drawn to what they're doing and very want to do it because I can't do any of that, and it's just so far. It's almost like wizardry that these people can do this stuff and go, oh, I like that music. That picture looks really good. How did you start with a blank page and get to there?
There's Yannick. I've always been really envious of people who could draw really well. I remember in 6th grade, we had to like do some project or something, and there was one kid in our class that can like draw exceptionally well, like better, like way better than everybody else. And I remember like everyone wanted, I'm not gonna like use his name, but it doesn't matter. We can say his name is Tim. Everyone wanted Tim to draw their like art for them, and he must have had a line of like 15 kids to like draw their like part of the project or whatever it was. I'll never forget that.
Oh yeah,
I tried a little bit to do a little drawing, but could never really take off. But it was fun.
That's funny, Bobbles. Hey, and also Bobbles, a little tidbit with Eric. I joined him. I started following him on Instagram and liked something of his just to make you feel better.
Okay. I mean, listen. I could show some cards. I did a card show yesterday in New Jersey, and I did a flea market today, which sucked buying wise or selling wise, but made some interesting connections. So
yeah, and I saw the cards you picked up at a flea market. And I go to a flea market, it's like a box laying on the ground with a bunch of cards thrown in it, and I don't really see much like that. So that's kind of lucky when it comes to that. But I'm sure Lou Rock wants to know, did you play any instruments when you were in school?
I played the drums from like 4th grade till 7th grade, but it was like a single snare drum. And when you began combining like other elements, like a kicker or like a timpani or even like any cymbal, a hi-hat or whatever, I was like lost. So I gave that up.
Okay. I always, when I see Lou Rock and I have a guest on, because when I had Lou Rock on, we got kind of derailed for about 10 minutes on talking about trombones in high school. Playing the trombone.
Yeah, well, I think when I was in 4th grade, that was in the year like 99 to 2000. I think it was like almost mandatory for kids to play an instrument in school.
Yeah.
I think
I played a trumpet around that time.
My brother was a trumpeter.
Hey, Amish Dave. What's up, brother?
Dave.
What I've been asking people that have been coming on, especially first time since I've started doing this, I kind of surprised Mike Moynihan with this question.
Okay.
But I already knew what he was collecting, so I could be more poignant. What else do you find yourself collecting or drawn to in like a nerdy way that catches your eye, that you maybe a TV show or anything else that you find yourself picking up and collecting?
Not cards?
Not cards, not baseball, even if it's a non-sport, because we know about your people that are on here. This is something I like to see. Oh, hey, Purple GT, another guy I think will probably be with you.
Okay, so here's my answer, and it might surprise you.
This is what I want to
Um,
hear.
I love Pokemon Go. I grew up playing Red and Blue. I played Gold and Silver. I played
Uh,
Ruby Sapphire. And then I kind of like got to the age like after that. Ruby Sapphire was like my favorite gen.
uh-huh.
And um, after that, I kind of like went away from Pokemon games a little bit. But then I got like Sun and Moon, like on Game Boy or Nintendo DS or whatever it was. And I still love it. And like my best friend also plays Pokemon Go. I'm a daily player. I play every day. And there are other YouTubers. I'm not going to out them. There are other YouTubers that play Pokemon Go too.
Oh, I'm
Um,
sure.
it is an incredibly addictive game.
Right.
So yeah, that's a thing
That,
that I also spend some time doing.
that's awesome to know. I
Yeah,
mean, because that is, you got to catch them all. So that is collecting. So,
yeah. I suppose in a way that's
yeah.
true. Yeah,
Yeah. Do, so are you in the city proper or are you outside? You're in New York, correct?
yeah. I
Or
live in
around
Brooklyn.
that area? Oh, so do you find yourself when that was at its height? I was living in Iowa in a town of 900 people. We didn't even have a Pokemon in our town. So do you find like Brooklyn is like everywhere, or is it the same? Like they try to
Well,
distance them?
um, playing in parks or or big cities is really nice because there are a lot of spawns and we don't have to get too far into this, but this will be
Right.
maybe
Yeah.
the last question that we can talk about.
Yeah.
Um, in
This is
20
it.
yeah, this is it. In 2016 when the game like blew up, Midtown Manhattan was like one of the best places in the entire world to play. I
Okay.
remember like your view count is probably like plummeting right now, and I'm so sorry.
It's actually going up.
Okay. Okay,
But they're
so
having their own conversation.
yeah. I remember distinctly. This was maybe like 2 or 3 weeks in. My brother, who lives in New Jersey, came into the city one night after I got out of work to play, and there was a wild Dragonite, which at the time that was like the best possible Pokemon in the game. In like on 56th Street and Madison Avenue, which was like literally 3 blocks away from where I worked, there were thousands of people because someone yells Dragonite and people start running
Right.
in a direction.
Right.
They are taking up like part of the street. It is like a swarm of. It was unbelievable. I still have the Pokemon. I can't transfer it. So yeah, super 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 fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I, I got one last thing to that because that was what point
Okay.
I was
Okay.
getting to. In my town, there is a park, and they had, and I want to say this right because I have no idea. My friends were into it. They're younger than me, uh, you know, right. But anyway, they were in the park. I believe was a gym where you can fight each other at.
Yeah.
So one night when that was found out, that park had hundreds of people in it, and the people that lived around the park started calling the cops because they didn't know what was going
Yeah, that was a serious problem too.
on.
Like people would hang out outside. Okay, this is actually it. People would like hang out outside buildings, and cops would be like called because no one had an idea, like any idea what they were doing. Obviously, like people who were playing like knew that it was not malicious at all. But like when you get like a group of people hanging around like a space, like it gets like kind of weird. And so, especially if it's like a big number of people. See,
Right.
Bobbles, I knew you couldn't hide for much longer.
I know he did it too.
All right, everyone in the chat, say how many Pokemon you have in your Pokemon Go account.
Well, I met his son at the last Chantilly, and he was there looking for Pokemon cards, and we talked a little bit about it.
Yeah.
So it's this is the part where us as sports card collectors, that's a certain nerddom in and all of its own. We get nerdy for this, especially it's great. That's why the passion is there.
Oh yeah.
But usually it transfers into something else in your life too. because he can't just do one thing. He'll just go nuts, I think. So, for me, it branches in a few areas, and I always like to know, hey, what else do you have? It was interesting. Victor, Sports Illustrated covers. He likes to get some famous Sports Illustrated. People don't know Mike Moynihan. He actually is collecting Amazing Spider-Man run,
right?
Which I knew about that, and I was asking him about that. So, that's why I like to know just something unique and different that you just don't hear a lot about. That's one thing I like.
I love that question. It's a great question. Yeah.
Thank you. And that's why everybody texts me and goes, hey, what are we going to talk about? And I don't want to tell you.
Okay.
I want honest reactions. Yeah. And it's like, I want honest reactions. I'm not going to, if I really want to know something, I'm not going to blindside you. I'll go, hey, have this ready. This is what we're going to talk about. But you're a first timer, so I'm going to be nice, and we're going to play with soft hands with this one. So, because I have one story, and this is I think wraps you up, Brian, in a nutshell for me and many others.
Okay.
We've talked. We said hi on channels. We've messaged each other about cards in the world once or twice. But I got one day, this guy at work shows up with these early 1900s cards. I have no idea what's going on with these cards. First person that comes to mind is you. I text you out of the blue. Boom, right there with all the didn't know the answers, come back with some of the answers, and I try to get them for you and a couple other guys, and it just didn't work out. But I wanted to say thanks, and this is when I say about extending my Rolodex. This community is awesome. I was sorry. I was like, man, we don't really talk, and out of the blue, I just hit you up, and you're like, no, this is awesome.
Yeah.
We all learned a little something, and it's great. And I just want to tell that story before I forget. I have a tendency to forget things, and somebody I've been wanting to have on the channel, and I wanted to get it closer to baseball season. I did tell you about that, so we can talk. Makes more sense talking about baseball season as we get closer to the Super Bowl than it does the beginning. We got the WBC. Does the WBC warm your loins at all? World Baseball Classic. Yeah.
It gets me excited. It does.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, the U.S. won the most previous time, right?
Yeah.
They're putting together a pretty solid team this year too. But I think all of the competitive countries have really ratcheted it up. Did you see the Dominican Republic team? That team is loaded.
I've seen two different batting orders for them, I believe. The first one, because isn't that where Pena is playing for, shortstop for the Astros? Jeremy Pena?
I'm not certain. The only thing I know about that team is that Starling is not going to play because he's rehabbing.
Right. Well, they were showing like Gary Sanchez is DHing, I think, batting fourth. The leadoff hitter was Julio Rodriguez, I think.
I think Julio was ninth. Starling was leading off, but maybe they switched.
Okay, yeah. So I've seen one with Starling Marte was batting second, and Julio was batting first, and you got Jeremy Pena batting ninth. Me and my dad were laughing. You're like, you got the all-world playoff guy batting ninth, Mr. Rookie of the Year batting first. What in the heck do you got in between? And it's just nuts. And the USA has got a good team, but me and my dad are talking today. USA treats it more of barnstorming, where everybody's going to play a little bit, and it's getting ready for the season.
Yeah, I love that Trout is playing. Wow. I mean, there have been at least two, maybe three WBCs during his playing career, and I think this is his first time.
It's his first time. Yeah,
I think
Harper was going to play until his surgery.
Yeah,
that would have been something special. Them two out there in the outfield together.
Yeah, but then Bryce would have tried to convince, as if he isn't already, convince Mike to play in Philly. That would be absolutely horrible for us.
I would think I don't think it's going to take much convincing. If he can talk his way into a trade, the Angels going to ask for half the team, but I think he's about fed up out there the way some things kind of leaking out.
You would never know it though. You would never know it like talking to him or watching him.
He won't let that. He won't sell it firsthand.
No way.
No, I've heard. This is one of a story about him that I heard. Is like his dad called him up, telling him about a story he saw in the news about how sad it was. A family lost their house and all their gifts at Christmas one year, and Trout got the information and showed up where they were at with Christmas presents and food and everything. No television crew, no handlers, nothing. And he told the family, please don't say nothing about this. This is, I'm doing this just because. But, I love Trout for that way. And I think Trout's a great player. It has been brought to my attention that maybe his stats are not as great as everybody thinks they are, comparatively speaking. But to other players because he's really slowed down the last few years because of injuries. But man, those injuries haven't slowed him. He's still, when he comes back, he's still better than everybody else that's out there.
Doesn't he have like a career 81 WAR right now?
Yeah, something stupid. I mean, because people are saying he's not going to be a first ballot at this day. I just think he's one of
Scott, do they watch baseball? What's going on? Hello, everybody okay in there?
Yes.
What?
So me and you are both Mets fans. I know you're a little younger than me, but Jeff Kent's not in because the media hates him, right? That's why. But it's the opposite for Trout. Trout, they love him. He's great for baseball. He plays in a time zone that 2/3 of the country can never see him, but everybody still knows him. And the worst thing is he can't get into the playoffs. Yeah, Trout was at the Eagles game today wearing the Eagles jersey.
Yes, he was.
Made me throw up a little bit in my mouth, but
he's a South Jersey guy. It's what they do down there.
Yeah, I mean, and I would love to see him on the East Coast. That way I can watch him play a lot more. But also like him on the West Coast because I can watch most Mets games and still watch the Angels games if I want to.
Right. I mean, the way I see it is
this is the type of information when you start getting, and he's right. Jeff is right. He didn't even lead his team in RBIs. But it's just tough. This stuff gets brought up to me, and and then you say WAR, and that's what a lot of this is going by now because the way the game is played, it's kind of changed a little bit.
But Trout's never been a big RBI. I'm looking at his baseball reference right now. He's never been a big RBI guy.
Well,
the most RBI he had in the season. Right. Well, I mean, he can only do so much.
Right. He can't be on. He can only hit with so many home runs to get his own RBI.
Yeah. the most RBIs he had in the season was 111, and when he hit that, he led the American League.
Right.
But
there's some things that it transcends baseball, and I just think that's one of them.
You also have to think that for a lot of Trout's career, he batted second. There's not a lot of RBI opportunities in the two hole.
I hope you mean War Machine, not Mar Machine. I think that's something totally different.
Mar Machine.
Another great channel for people to check out. Need to get some love for them, man. War Machine. There you go. Yeah. Thank you, sir. We can talk. I have a Ohtani baseball autograph. It's a Nike ball numbered to 5. So
that's cool.
Yeah, from his rookie year season.
Wow. Yeah. His signature changed so much.
Yeah, I have
it
on
horrible now.
I was so hoping it was going to be the Asian inscription, his name, but it's not. And I can't tell if it's upside down or not. I mean,
but his his signature back during like the 2018-19 season was like big and like you can't really tell like what the heck it says, but like it looks interesting. Now it is like literally like a line and like another line, and it looks horrendous. Like I saw when like the 2022 cards were like coming out and his signatures were on them. I'm like, holy moly, this is not. It's not the same guy signing this thing. Like signing these cards.
Right. Yeah,
it's a shame. But what can you do? I mean, if you're him, like, what is it? Filmington.
Yeah.
A channel that has fallen into irrelevancy, right?
Phil, I would like to talk to you about a little Bowman a little later on sometime. Prospecting. But in a good way, not in a flipper way.
Yeah, but so then you can't have Phil on if you don't want to talk
to Phil's the one, the so-called flipper that we all love because he doesn't really. It's not shoved down your throat and all that stuff. And then you're the silent seller. You sell, but you
me?
You don't like it. Yeah, you don't like promote it like rah, 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 like.
I mean, I guess not.
You know what I'm saying? You just kind of. I look over at the National. You just sit back here, just smiling, just happy to be there.
Hell yeah! How many people like this at the National?
Yeah. Set up at the National, boys. How you doing?
Yeah, that shit was awesome.
Blocking your table and everything.
Yeah.
These are autographs, not signatures. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Jeff.
True.
So you said you did set up at a flea market. Is that you just try to find somewhere different, new blood when you do that type of thing, or what's?
Yeah, I had like a certain strategy when going into this. This flea market is like it's in the Upper West Side of Manhattan, so it's like in a pretty affluent area. And it was pretty cheap to set up. It's like $75 a day for like 6 to 8 feet. So you can put like a good amount of stuff on the table. I didn't really expect to sell a lot. And I'll say I sold less than $50 worth of cards today, which is garbage. Right. But I made a lot of good connections and hopeful buying opportunities that even if one comes through will set, this one and the next 3 times I'll be there. And it'll be completely fine. Right. So this was a strategic placement because I'm also the only card guy there. Okay. So if someone wants to talk cards or if they have cards, they're not going to anybody else. They see a whole, they see 2 display cases and 2 boxes full of old cards that look like the ones that they have. And they're like, hey, what do you buy cards? Like what? And I'm like, yeah, take my card. Show me pictures. I'll price it for you for free.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that that leads to future buying opportunities because it's cheap to set up and I'm not really in a place like in a market that card collectors will visit. I may get some here and there like gifts and things like that, but it's not a place that I anticipated doing really well with sales in. I did a card show yesterday in New Jersey and I did well there, so I'm happy with that.
Okay, that was my next question.
Yeah.
You were in New Jersey. With that, when you say do well, is that a pure monetary way, like you hit whatever numbers you're looking for, or is it getting product, getting just foot traffic for few? Because it sounds like even though man only did $50, but man, did I set up a lot of stuff maybe for the future. That sounds like you almost won today as well, the way you say it. I mean, I try
to stay positive.
Okay.
In regard to today, like it was a drag, like sitting there and people just like, they'd come up and I'd be like, "Are you a card collector? No. Do you like sports? And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. It was like I had to like make small talk with them in some way.
You need to get a couple of bags of used underwear or something and put on the front of it. Well, it's
what?
2 for $1. I bet you get some foot traffic.
Oh, like put garbage in the I had this guy. I just grabbed like a sandwich. There was like some food trucks there, right. And I just grabbed. This is the strangest question I've ever been asked at a card show before, or a flea. Anytime I've ever set up. Strangest question. I sit down with my sandwich, and he's like looking at my cards, and I'm like, just let me know if you have any questions. I'll be eating over here. And I like sit down. He's like, actually, I do have a question. Do you know how to reuse temporary tattoos? And I said, excuse me? He's like, like temporary tattoos, right? Like you put them on with the water. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, do you know how to like use it twice? And I'm like, dude, what made you think that I would know that? I sell cards. And he's like, oh, okay. And he like took my business card and he's like, okay, thanks. And I'm like, what
Well,
was
you did
that?
ask him. You did ask him.
I was
I,
dumbfounded.
see. I think I would have liked to hung out with that dude for the rest of the day just to see what he said to the other people.
He was asking each dealer. He really wanted to know an answer to this question. I guess he has a temporary tattoo that he wants to keep wearing. He should probably just get a real tattoo.
Yeah, get it. That's what I was about to say. Just get it tattooed on.
But anyway, in regards to yesterday, aside from that, I have a friend who has been a dealer for a long time, and we chop it up this is in New York, James.
Yeah.
So maybe it is only in New York. But I have a friend, we chop it up like every week. We compare notes, we talk about, the things we find. And like, I set up with him at the big shows like Philly. I set up with him at this one in New Jersey at the National. He's a great guy and a really, really good friend and a good resource. He told me that if you can 10x your table, like let's say your table costs $50 to set up, if you can make 500 in sales, that's a successful day.
Okay.
It easily should cover your cost to be there, like physically, and your other expenses. And so I kind of go by that metric. So I definitely 10x my table yesterday. And generally that's my goal. Sometimes I do a little bit worse. Sometimes I do way better. So it just kind of depends. But I also did buy well yesterday, which I'm happy about. I didn't buy a lot, but I bought well. And I bought well today too. So as long as I keep buying well, I can survive through the slow periods.
Yeah. And you, if y'all don't know, he does have, you're on Card Soup and Instagram, and
right.
You post most of those pictures, and that's always nice to look at. I love looking at the vintage. It's just, I can't buy everything, and my niche is not that.
Do you want to see a nice card?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
Okay.
What did you get that you're really hyped on from a flea? Do you have this flea market or from yesterday? Or is this from another time?
Well, I guess I can show what I bought yesterday. Through the flea market, it may take me some time to because they're in some boxes, but I can pull out some cards. These walked up to me. It's just a small buy, nothing that crazy. Let's see if maybe maybe that's better. 61 Hank Aaron PSA 3. This is probably like an average, like a average to below average 3.
Okay. Now for you, and that's strictly about everybody's going to be a little different with that. When you look at a card, where we love cards that's been well loved.
Mm-hmm.
What do you look for in your cards for you to go, I want to buy that 3? What do you look at? Is it corners, centering, color, edges, back of it? What a crease not down the middle of it? What? It seems like everybody has their thing. It sounds like to me you just look at it and go, oh, I like this one.
It's funny, as you were describing all of these attributes, this one doesn't really have many great attributes.
But it doesn't have to.
But it's a card of Hank Aaron.
Right.
And I think that in this case is enough.
Right.
There are the two others that I have better attributes than this card.
Right.
And so I just, when you see a Hank Aaron card and the price is right, you kind of can't not buy it if you're in my position.
Right.
This one I really liked a lot. 66 Maze in the SGC3. This card has really, really nice eye appeal for a lower grade like this. Like it looks like a card that someone probably submitted and they were like, wait, why'd this get a 3? It has like a wrinkle going through like this part of the card here, but you really have to look hard to see it. And it's very well centered. And for a number 1 card, this is always generally a hard card to find nice. Not to say this is like super.
So why is that wrinkle probably there?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean,
that's
aside from that,
spot. Yeah.
Aside from
that's
that,
a rubber band spot. That's why the wrinkle's there.
That's not a bad. That's not a bad point there, Scott. So that's actually might be what it is. This one I'm happy about too. This is a 61 Gibson and a PSA 7. This one is pretty sharp. So these all came in the same deal. This one has like really bright color. There's like no print defect at all. The corners are really sharp. The centering left to right is probably like 60-40 if I had to like put a number on it, but it's a killer card.
Right. For me, I like especially those 60s cards, 50s with all those bright colors, backgrounds. It's got to still have that pop for me.
Yeah.
And I like to have the edges, the corners. You know, they're gonna be soft. If I could afford 4 sharp corners, we'd probably be doing this somewhere else. But you know that it's just for me. I mean, you know, this is one that for me it's just arm distance away. Now this is something that was in my daddy's collection.
God, I love that card.
Yeah, so I got this one graded, but for me, it's got everything I'm looking for. It's got the borders, no bad creases, soft corners, well loved. My dad played with his cards.
Wow.
So, you know, it is what, but my dad was he still is very meticulous with everything he does. Mm-hmm. So when he cut off the post cereal boxes, he used a straight edge, took his time cutting.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Yeah, and I mean, so that really, you know, I got a few of those in my collection from when he was a kid. You know, the Mickey Mantle 4.5. It blew me away when I got that back because everything I've ever really noticed was most of the time hand cut stuff comes back as just authentic. Mm-hmm. And this one came back with 4.5. I was like, ooh, I'll take that. You know, any mantle is a good mantle.
Absolutely.
So, and my first big purchases in that world was the Roberto Clemente rookie. I got a couple of years ago at the National, and that same one I got the Satchel Paige 53.
2 great cards.
And then I rounded it out the next day with not so much. That's why I was asking what is vintage before we got on to you.
Yeah.
Because I did round it out with the Gretzky rookie card too that same weekend.
I consider that vintage.
Right.
That's a vintage card.
We got Dave in the house. What's up, fellas? My man Dave.
Another Mets fan.
Yeah, and we're just found out today you got it. So hope we're all staying together at this year at Chicago.
Good.
So we got a nice little group together. Are you planning on setting up at all this year like you did last year, or?
It'll be sharing space with my friend. I think I'm just going to do one day. Last year, I really missed walking around. Last year was my 10th national. And so, yeah, my first time setting up. And when I did, I really missed walking around. I set up like Friday, all Saturday, and walked around Wednesday, Thursday, and then the time on Sunday that I had.
Right.
And so it was tough to make that sacrifice. You know, I did really well. I did really well with my sales. But I just love walking the floor with people, talking to them, discovering new stuff, like that entire interaction process to me is like really what I love about the national. And
that was a huge group of people last year that
it was
somehow everybody knew each other on that Saturday. That ended up by your table, and Ryan, you were like, "I'm trying to sell stuff here, guys. Come on."
No, I mean, it's a thing with crowds, right? People don't know what to do when there's a big crowd of people.
Yeah. And we were all taking pictures with each other. And somebody came up to me and goes, and they pointed at Eric, those back pages. And I don't know why, because we were all taking pictures with each other randomly. And he pointed at him and goes, "Who's this guy? And why does everybody want a picture with
him?" A random person?
Yeah, it was just some guy that came up to me. I was like, because right then it hits you like, here it is. You think everybody knows Eric, even if you don't watch YouTube. If you collect cards, somehow he's on a forum you might have came across, or just somehow you're gonna know who Eric is. And he didn't know, and that just tells you how small and we are. And
it's true.
And I like that because it keeps me humble. It keeps
stay humble, Scott.
I am too big for my britches sometimes, but that's because I like to eat donuts. That has nothing to do with anything else. But I mean, not humble and like be big head, but thinking that the community is bigger. When you go to those shows, you have to. I bet you 95% of those people never watched a YouTube video of a card show. I mean, that's what I mean when I say that. Maybe I'm using wrong language, but
even also consider that the amount of people that go and attend the national is still a fraction of the entire hobby, like collectors population.
Yep. Yeah. And
it is way, way, way bigger than any of us can really imagine.
Right. And that's
why there are a lot of cards out there.
A couple of us now have been like trying. Mike, what's Mike's great historian, Mike, Baseball Card Life. He's really big into making sure everybody's hitting the likes, doing things, so that way it helps helps us all in the algorithm, right, in the hobby world. So if somebody puts in collecting or the right words, maybe somebody will find us that didn't even know we were out there. So because I can tell you, when I first started looking on these channels was by accident. I've said the story, but I just by accident, and I did not like what I saw when I first started. So my friends said, right. So my friends were like, I bet you can't do it. And then if I ain't going to do it, I ain't going to speak on it. And I haven't, I love it because of this, meeting guys like you, and like any no Hall of Fame in the world or whatever is going to make me feel the way I feel with these guys that are chatting in this over here, and the people that I've met through this. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it is.
Yeah. I'll mirror that. Like, there's not been like a single person that I've met like through the YouTube community. And regardless if they post videos or not, or if they just comment, or even if they just watch, that aren't like a genuine nice person. I can actually maybe think of one person, but
we're always going to have a couple here and there. And I just found out the other night too, with speaking on this just for a minute, and it saddened me. It really did. I didn't know I know we had separation in groups for whatever reason. They're always going to be. We're always going to have some semblance of a high school cafeteria at lunchtime where everybody's in their little groups. But I didn't know there were certain groups that went out of their way to talk smack about other groups and that backwards and forth. I just found that all out. Luckily, that's all. I've been shielded from that from somebody. I don't know, but that saddens me because we're all in this together. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter why you're doing it, but they're doing it. I don't know. I just wanted to say that real quick because it kind of bothered me when I found that out.
If anything, I think it strengthens the core of the community.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to go out and like and share, like and comment on everybody if you don't really like that channel. Because I can think of 3, 4, 5, 10 of them right now that I don't watch for a simple reason. I used to hate watch a couple just to see what they're talking about today and get my blood boiling a little bit. But why? There's so many guys I like, and just why waste my time with that? So
Yeah,
because taking a minute watching that's a minute away from somebody else I could be watching.
that's true. That's true.
It's okay. I'm here. You can say it's got has already gave me the T-shirt saying my to get off my lawn of our community. Bobbles, Bobbles. I need to contact you too. I was going to contact you earlier today about something.
I've got a question for Bobbles.
Go right ahead.
Bobbles we all know there's a SGC group submitter.
Uh-huh.
I want to know when someone sent him the 52 mantle, how maybe he's already talked about this, maybe I missed it. I want to know if you got like starstruck or if you were like, this is just another card.
I think he's sitting 2 of them now.
Oh, he's gotten 2 now?
I think he got one by itself, and then one a guy got that he helped. It was a bunch of different high-end cards that he sent in, overnighted, and then got him back and helped facilitate a sell to somebody.
I guess the one that I'm remembering is the first one that he. Maybe this other one has been since then, but right. I distinctly remember there was like the first one that he handled, and
answer Bobbles. I know you're listening. I held a man once and almost ran. Yeah, well,
I need to hear that. I need to hear that story, Dave.
Me and him were together. It was me, him, Maiko, and Ed.
What's the story?
An order with 2 in it.
Okay, that's what I'm remembering.
Does he want to know were you awestruck about that?
Yeah, I want to know.
I think he's told the story like where he shook a little bit with it. They returned to me on Saturday, and I had to hold them until Tuesday.
Oh, like with a holiday or something? Man, that sucks to be you. Oh my God.
Yeah.
In possession of those cards for 3 days.
I know, like in our little group chat, he was talking about. But this one with Dave, me, Dave, Mike, and Ed were sitting in our hotel in Chicago and waiting for our Uber to go get some deep dish. And we're just sitting there, and Dave's wearing a Yankees t-shirt for some reason because he likes the Yankees too. Yeah, I remember that too. So he had the Yankees t-shirt, and the guy sitting there just has a little brown like return PSA box, right? And he goes, "Hey, you guys, he looks at him. He goes, "You're a Yankees fan? You want to see something cool?" And I'm sitting beside the dude, and Dave goes, "Yeah, sure." So the guy starts opening up this brown box, opens it up, no cases, nothing, just has the PSA case. I see it, and I'm like, man, I'm not a Yankees fan, but my God, I'm a card fan. and he shows it. I go, "Sir, can I see that?" And we all he sat there while we're all passing it around. He doesn't know any of us, and this guy's letting us pass around his 52 mantle just like it was nothing.
Do you remember what the grade was or how it looked?
Dave, do you remember what the grade was? I want to say it was like 4, 5.
Wow.
It was like a middle grade. It wasn't, but the thing was, he just had it in a box, just sitting there. And he had some other big cards in that same little brown box. And you would have just thought, oh, he's going to pull out like a Mickey Mantle. I mean, like a Donnie Baseball rookie or something. Yeah, 5. I think that's what it was. Ed took a picture of it and showed it on Instagram.
I need to go back and look at it then.
Yeah, because the next big story of that day, so then we go to the pizza place, the famous one that's not too far from there, Giuliano's, whatever.
Yep.
So we go in there. We all got our backpacks on or whatever. We sit down, waited till we get seated. As we're sitting there, 2 guys come up and said, "Hey, what do y'all got in y'all's bags? Are y'all looking to sell anything?" So Ed, no, start pulling out. I didn't really have anything. Most of the time, I just got water or something in mine. Yeah,
You
Giordano.
want a bottle of water?
Yeah, I'm just sitting there and I'm watching. They almost bought stuff like we're like, because that was that year that everything went crazy. You had card shows busting out in lobbies. You just had, and we were sitting there at the entrance of a pizza restaurant getting ready to sell cards. It was like, is this for real? Is this
That
going
is
on?
very weird.
Yeah. That was a crazy year. That whole year. And it was last year was kind of crazy because I saw some of the same stuff, just not on the same level. The entire experience was really cool to be trusted with those, but then also to help the owner find a buyer. Yeah, him and his uncle was pretty awesome. Yeah, and the buyer seems pretty cool. Bob was introduced me to him. The McJackie is still the card that sits atop the list that we have submitted. Did you see that one when he submitted that?
It did.
Okay. Yeah. So I know CSG just graded one too. Sue's had a picture of it on the CSG website.
Yeah.
She works for them now.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this year, I don't think it's too early now to kind of start teasing about the national a little bit. We're less than 6 months away.
No, more than
we're right
6
at
months.
6 months. Right at 6 months.
It's just about, I guess.
Yeah, today's the 29th.
That's true.
So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I can tell you right now, finding a place to stay at right now, good luck to everybody. If you don't already have I know that one year I went in that hotel, they had a pop culture horror festival going on at the same time. And then in the upstairs part of the convention center was a Halo convention with tournament. If anybody remember, that was kind of crazy that year, and that was before the pandemic. It's the same one. It's just now just in CSG.
It's the same card.
Okay.
CSG just made a huge deal out of it, but it's really not a big deal at all. The card's already been graded. It's already been sold.
Right.
People already know about it. Article's been written about it, but now it's in a brand new holder with a new label. So it's fucking meaningless. Sorry for my language.
No. Go. I'll sit back and listen. I did a rant earlier this week. I let somebody else rant.
No, it's actually like really dumb. Like people can clearly see, like any educated hobbyist can see with their eyes that the sliver of that card is number 311.
Right.
You don't need it notated on the label.
Oh, okay.
The CSG made a big fucking hullabaloo about it.
Yeah. Well,
CSG, telling me something that I don't already know myself. It's not a new discovery to the hobby.
I know you're a PSA guy, a CSG guy as well.
I'm not a CSG.
Not CSG, guy. SGC.
Yeah.
Do you do CSG at all? Because I know for selling purposes, it's probably a waste of time.
I've never sent a card to CSG, and I do not intend to.
Okay. Gosh.
I send cards to PSA. I send cards to SGC, and that's about it.
Would you buy a card that was CSG graded?
Probably not.
Can I ask?
If I did, I would probably only buy vintage cards, and I would consider it like a raw card because I'd crack it out and send it to PSA or SGC if I wanted to.
Yeah, for your resale purposes, right?
Yeah.
Because I know talking to somebody like you, I've talked to Triple Crown enough. I'm used to having these type of conversations. It's because I love CSG. But it's for my PC.
Yeah.
Even I know if I'm going to sell it, I'm getting PSA or SGC. I'm going to send it to them. Probably SGC right now because I've made a statement before. If PSA was a restaurant, nobody would be going to it.
It's actually like unbelievable. We don't have to like get too deep into this, but the cost of entry into SGC right now and like what they're getting, like no matter subjectively, no matter if you like it, no matter if you like the company, no matter if you care about the resale value, no matter if you care about the holder of the label as compared to PSA or not, just looking at like how much it costs to get in and how quickly it takes to turn around, for someone like me, it's a no-brainer.
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
only really sending cards to PSA that I can afford to wait the bulk
if I was
level
a
prices
seller
on.
like y'all, it'd be a home run going to SGC because that's just money sitting in another shelf somewhere. If it's at PSA, that you can't
Yeah.
sell it, that's dead money. I'm not a businessman, but I know well enough to listen to Filmington and know what dead money is. So you want to make sure that you have that you have fluidity.
Oh, used a fill word right there. I mean, I'll give you a little snapshot of one of my grading orders with
Mm-hmm.
PSA. I submitted a bulk pre-modern, which is essentially like 1979 and before, I think.
Right.
I submitted this order with a group sub
Mm-hmm.
on September 19th, 2022. It moved through the thing. It finally got to QA1 at November 10th. It took until I emailed my group subber to be like, what the hell is going on with this? Because it has not been updated since mid-November, and we're already at the end of January. Like, how can it get to QA1 in 2 weeks and then stop for 3 months?
Right.
It makes no goddamn sense.
And then all of a sudden it'll be in 7 coming to you.
So then that day it moved to QA2, and then now it's stopped again.
Right.
But like, and then okay, so now get this. So have that in your frame of reference.
Right.
I sent a bulk modern. It's literally like two. It's like in another group sub. It's literally like two 80s rookies, a McGriff and a Fleer Mattingly. I sent it on 12/22. It is now at QA1. Why?
So
How?
which McGriff rookie did you send? I'm interested.
The Donruss.
Okay, that's my favorite of them. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Donruss. I had like an 86 Donruss set that I bought a long time ago, just sitting around, and I'm like, well, let me look through it. And this McGriff was pretty sharp, very centered. So I sent it. Got nothing into that card. So, all right, we got a question from Carlisle. Over the course of a year, how many 52 tops Eddie Matthews cards do you see? I'm very interested in acquiring one, but most of them aren't so great. Okay, so the thing about, I'm sure you know too, because you're a Braves guy and a knowledgeable collector. Dave, that is true. He only has one rookie card. Okay. I don't see a ton of Matthews, and the ones I do see are usually not centered that well. So you kind of have to like pick your poison with like what you care about with that card. I don't see, I mean, the ones that I do see are either like in Facebook groups with dealers who just have really high-end cards, or like big card shows like the National or Philly, Chantilly, Shriners, things like that.
Right.
Or auction houses. So you're going to have competition when you're looking to buy a card like that, because a lot of people need that card.
Man, he's got an awesome collection too, a Braves collection.
Yes, he does.
It's when I saw that, and then he's got that where you can go look at basically all of them on his. Yeah, that just blew me away.
Yeah.
Here's Bobbles. And Bobbles has been screaming this for a couple of years now. It just takes everybody to learn from experience. I've already sold cars that I just sent in last Monday. LOL, it's really too easy. Spelled easy wrong. It's easy, buddy. Easy, too easy. We gotta keep the Filmington references going.
Yeah. But like with SGC, like I've been sending so many cards to them for so long that I get surprised by very little anymore. I feel like if I send cards to PSA, like I kind of don't know what I'm going to get. Like if I get a really like lenient grader, then I might.
I tell you what, some of the stories that are coming out, you're might be overstating. You don't know what you're going to be getting. You might not even be getting the same card back. right
Well,
now.
yeah.
That and I've heard some other stories on some deliveries that I can't speak on yet
Okay.
till it gets cleared up.
I understand.
And I got free will. I got free running on
Okay.
it. uh,
To answer Dr. Exclusive's question, I really don't do much hockey at all. When I go to like Philly, um, which is, I know maybe Scott alluded that you live in Canada, so you may not get down to the States that much for shows. Philly is a rather big recurring show on the East Coast. It is a great show for vintage. Um, there's not a lot of vintage hockey at that show. There's maybe one hockey dealer or maybe one vintage hockey dealer at that
it's a
show.
Philly show, really?
Dedicated,
Okay,
dedicated hockey dealer.
okay. Because when I go to Chantilly, which is a lot of the same dealers, there's quite a bit hockey.
I guess I'm more referring to like a dealer who specializes in
Okay,
hockey.
I got
I
you.
I almost like don't. It's not that I don't count it, but like I feel like the Tops or OPG Gretzky is like a common enough card that like if a dealer really wanted it, they can find it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I don't see a lot of I just don't see a lot of hockey aside from like a Gretzky or an or maybe like Parkhursts. I don't see a lot of like Drydens or Waz or Lemieux or things like that.
right.
Um,
I at that last Chantilly show, and Bobbles can quite a few Parkhurst different rookies. Uh, my dad was knowing a lot of the old timers. My dad's 76, and he was like, "Oh, I remember." He was telling me, "My dad he can see a name, and he can't remember anything until he sees the name, and then all of a sudden he's got 48 stories that he just
oh, wow.
starts rattling off." So, but and there was a couple of guys there that did have a couple of dealers that had like boxes of already graded stuff. Because I picked up a Lindros rookie and a who else did I can't remember what else. I picked up a big stack of hockey cards because that's kind of right now hockey is kind of my second. I tend to when I go to shows I tend to gravitate to that really easy right now for whatever reason. Um,
At the flea market today, speaking of hockey, when I bought the cards that I did, I was rifling through a box, and the dealer had a Vincent Leclavier, whatever his name is. And it's like an on-card auto number to 50, and I thought that was like a strange place for that card to be.
so
I
might
didn't
just
buy it.
yeah, I just uh, right now I'm very focused. I made a list so that way I keep myself even more focused when I'm
Oh,
looking on.
wow, handwritten too.
Yeah, I sat here one night and just kind of was jotting down, and so that way I could keep myself honest. I still will stray and go off. So I've added more to it since at the beginning. But that way I would like to stay. Hey Ray, yeah, congratulations to all you Eagles fans
Yeah.
out there. I had them picked to win the Super Bowl, so um,
Philly's having a good sports year, huh?
yeah,
What's up
yeah.
with
Too bad
that?
their Flyers stink though. So, uh, but anyway, we've been a little over an hour. That's where I like to keep it at. Be rough. We can always save more to for another day. Now that we've got you in here,
Cool.
learned you a little bit, and I like surprising people with a few questions. I learned a lot about a little bit about selling and your thought process going into things. And I would like to get in on that probably a little bit more with you
Cool.
on another day. And probably get you, if you don't mind coming back on, I'm trying to get a group seriously. I would love to have Filmington on for a group of, I like to get group of guys for preseason baseball, probably
Okay.
between WBC and the season. I saw you were trapped with the Philly guys at the for the Phillies. We'll try to even it up a little bit for you.
I was trapped.
You were,
yeah,
you were.
I
But
was
you
trapped,
held your own.
but I put myself there. I
You
put
did.
myself there. I had the experience because the Nets just got trounced by the Padres, and I'm like, listen, guys, you got to be ready for the Padres. But
Right.
and I think the Phillies were ready for the Padres because I joined.
Is that what it was? Well,
yeah.
Geez. Well, you need to call in or get with. I do like the fact some of the people they're retiring, numbers and announcers they're retiring this year. Cohen is
who's being retired?
They're Steve Cohen, I think, is the announcer. He's not retiring. They're just like.
You mean Gary Cohen?
I mean Gary Cohen. I mean
in the Mets Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Yeah, the Mets Hall of Fame. That's
Yeah.
Thank you for getting my English right. I'm just
Steve
learning.
Cohen being in the Mets, being retired. I'm like, what are you talking about?
And you figured it out. You can speak Scott. Yeah, Hojo. I loved Hojo back in the day. Still do. I when I find Hojo stuff, I pick it up. So I don't pick up very much. But anyway, till next time, like, share, tell a friend. If you ain't, do I need to tell you where to find B Roth? We shouldn't have to go through that. My man is a legend now on these channels.
I don't know.
You know where to find him. Till next time, see ya.